My name is Duddits, I do builds and stuff. Look at the state of this disorientating effects. I'm taking another look at the Techsec armor set. You're going to deal massive kinetic damage to shielded enemies and cause disorientating bursts. This gear set is an absolute joke with certain weapons, and it actually works with Hazardous Propulsion. You're going to get extra kinetic damage against shields and blinding effect from your Hazardous Propulsion rockets. It's just absolutely magnificent. Disorientating and massive shield damage with weapons like Outbreak, Sacred Provenance, we're going to be featuring them, Microcosm and the Mighty Wishender. All these are top tier picks for this gear set, just making endgame stuff very, very easy. So let's get into it. The gear set is called the Techsec 2-piece wrecker. You'll deal additionally increased kinetic damage to combatant shields and overshields, vehicles and constructs. Constructs includes barricades, turrets, stasis, crystals and other objects. And the 4-piece bonus is called concussive rounds. Every time you defeat a powerful combatant or breaking a combatant shield with kinetic damage, it releases a disorientating kinetic shockwave. If you saw my other video on this on my Warlock, I do apologise, but I feel like I need to do it again with this video. So 37 is the damage without the bonus. Obviously, I took the armor set off, I put it back on, and then did the same thing again. And it ramps up to 110, which is 196% damage increase. It does vary, it's between 190 to 200% for some reason, I don't know why, but massive damage increase against shields, which, as you can imagine, for endgame stuff, it's going to be absolutely insane. And you will also see it does that blinding effect as well. So if you take a look, you'll see that little bubble there, which is absolutely magnificent. Now, Wishender is just one of the weapons with it being kinetic. This is a very good weapon. Again, you'll see that blinding burst. Wishender is exceptional with this just because it hits like a steam train anyway, and it's anti-barrier, so it works against shields. But look at the state of that. Even shielded enemies that are like the Cabal little shields, it works against that as well. And it also works against Cabal shields. It also works against Lucian Hive shields as well, which I've got a clip of later on. So you Void Arc and Solar shields and any other shielded enemies. Now, Outbreak is an exceptional choice because it's just a really good pulse. Now, I'm going to start off by apologising. I tried my best to try and get some footage of the nanites working against the shielded enemies. See if the nanites actually got the buff as well. I couldn't do it. I tried and I tried. I think it's because the nanites do extra damage and I couldn't really get a correct number. But it should work. Now, the nanites should also get buffed. But like I said, I tried, but you can see there, just having that blending effect with Outbreak and Wishender are just strong weapons anyway for like endgame stuff. And it's just going to buff them out big time. And like I said, I'm pretty sure the nanites would benefit, but I couldn't actually prove it, but I think they will. Now, one that I could prove was the Hazardous Propulsion. So basically we know this works, you get kinetic hits, and it's going to load Exodus kinetic rockets into your inventory. And then that is going to buff your damage with all other rockets, including Sidearms, which we'll go into in a moment as well. But basically, Wishender, Outbreak, things like that are just going to keep you loaded. But I wanted to check this damage out. You'll see there, 502 damage, 408. You get a couple of different numbers. So one more time, you're going to see 502. This is without the Techsec bonus. And obviously these Exodus rockets are kinetic. I put it on. An 874, so you can see it's getting a damage increase and it's doing that blinding effect. Look at the state of that, absolutely insane. So you can imagine now, if you've got all this sort of strong kinetic weapons, you're going to be able to blind things and do extra damage to shields with that Hazardous Propulsion and buff your rockets and your sidearms as well. So it's just a really, really nice little setup for endgame stuff, especially where you've got a lot of shielded enemies or places where you need to do ad control, because don't forget, if you kill a powerful combatant, that will also release that disorientating blast as well. So you've got numerous different ways to sort of disorientate these enemies and do extra damage against shields. Now, Hazardous Propulsion, buff sidearms, rocket sidearms, so if you run reciprocal drawn, rapid non-sidearm final blows, grant the sidearms a period of increased damage. Something like a Baron action, you've got a heal clip on there as well, incandescent other rolls, other rocket sidearms to buff. Somewhat like Cold Comfort, these are just little ideas that I throw together just to get a boost from your Hazardous Propulsion. So it's just a nice little setup with the reciprocal draw, because you're obviously going to get like kills with other weapons, and you'll always get that reciprocal draw ready. So it's just something to add on to the build, just to sort of make it sort of work a bit better. You've got a couple of different rockets, a couple of different sidearms, but I just wanted to sort of throw that little cheeky little synergy in there. Now, regarding subclass choices, I find Void the best, because with Bastion, every time you put your barricade down, you're going to give you and your teammates a massive 150 HP overshield, and then you've got offensive bulwark. Whenever you're behind that, you're going to keep recharging that overshield, and it gives you an increase to your grenade as well, which you can use for weakening. But again, I showed you the Cabal shields, but all these Lucent Hive shields that you get in certain activities, they all counter shields as well. And I just found the whole setup just really, really helpful. Like, just for situations like this, I just had loads of clips where it really like come to play. Now, the weapons I really like to run with this personally is the guarded weapons, the photo inhibition. This does extra damage against shield, and this does disorientating effects as well. You've got Sacred Providence, you've got things like Accrued Redemption, amongst your other weapons. As I mentioned, like Wish Ender Outbreak, things like that. I've also got a few little clips to show you of Microcosm, that's kinetic, but like I said, it's just really, really helpful, and I found the harder things we was doing, the more shielded enemies we was getting, and it just made it better. So the harder the activity, the better this become. It just made things really, really easy, and you can see here that Hazardous Propulsion going to work as well. The kinetic rockets, just extra damage against shield, why not take advantage of it? Now, Microcosm is just an absolute joke with this. If you could build into heavy ammo, it already does insane amount of damage to shielded enemies. Get your Techsec 190% extra damage on there, and it's just an absolute joke. Everything is just disorientated, and you go through shields like a knife through hot butter. It is an absolute joke. That's the video. I just want to say an absolutely humongous thank you. I've just got 5 million views on my channel. Let me tell you, when I first started doing YouTube, I didn't even think I'd get 500 views, never mind 5 million. Keep an eye out in the comments to celebrate this and the new raid dropping tonight. I'm going to drop a load of emblem codes. I've got 5 to give away. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.